What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to another one of my YouTube videos. As you can see, we are here outside enjoying the beautiful weather with my beautiful daily driver, 93 Toyota with almost 300,000 miles. But I was just gonna say, this car, owning this car in its current condition, you know, not running or anything, is so fun. I mean, I can only imagine once it's actually running. I get so many people that walk by here and they just stare so hard and break their necks. Then it's almost a little bit scary sometimes because half of these people I don't even know, and they pull in my driveway acting like they know me. But it's just crazy. It's a lot of fun though, and I can only imagine once it's actually running and everything, how much attention it's gonna bring. But if you guys watched my last episode, you guys probably saw that we were working on the fuel system. We got a couple lines made here in the back, and we also screwed up the intake, but we might have a fix for that. So a good buddy of mine loaned me a tap, and we are gonna chase the threads on this, and hopefully they clean out, and we'll try to run another fitting in it and see what happens. So I think first things first, I'm gonna get this intake off of here, and we're gonna chase those threads to see if, to make sure we didn't get ourselves into any other bigger problems. Let's go ahead and start this. Like I had mentioned earlier, I did mess up the threads in this intercooler, and we are going to be trying this tap out, and hopefully this is going to be the solution to our problems. So for those of you that don't know what a tap looks like, this is what it is right here. This is what actually creates the threads in the metal. So we are going to run this through it, and hopefully it'll clean it out enough that the fitting will screw in with no problems. So let's give this a try. You guys, I think this may have been a lifesaver right here. I honestly do think this fixed it, but there's only one way to find out. So let's try out one of the fittings. And I did take out the other one and went ahead and tapped it as well. And there was a lot of burrs in there, and I got them all cleaned out. So I'm gonna try this fitting, and hopefully we are good to go. Maybe. Beautiful, look at that, you guys. Now that we got our intake fixed, I did go ahead and set it back on the engine, and I made one of the lines for the front of the fuel rails, which runs to the regulator. It's this line right here, connects right there. So I got that one all made up, which was really easy. You got the regulator mounted, and now I'm working on the return line. So we are using a -8 return line, which comes out of the bottom of the regulator over here, and it runs under the intake, and it comes out back here. This is what that is. So like I had said in one of my previous videos, the car is equipped with 2 tanks, so we have to run 2 return lines, and the tanks are obviously on each side of the car. So you can kind of see one of the return lines right there with the silver fitting, and there's another one over here on this corner, but the alternator's kind of hiding it. So we're gonna have to split that -8 into 2 -6s, and what we're gonna use is this fitting right here. Looks a little funky, but it's just kind of what you got to do. So I'm going to try to hide this the best I can behind the intake where it won't be seen. And so I already have the lines marked out. I'm going to go ahead and pull the return line off, and I'm going to cut it so we can connect it to this, and then we can continue making our 2-6 lines. guys can tell, but these fuel lines are making me sweat. They are literally a pain in my butt. But we are actually this close from being able to check the fuel system off of the list. And when I say this close, I'm being literal, because look, you guys, all we have left is to put our fuel injectors in, but we have the tiniest gap in between the fuel rail and the fuel injectors. And I could possibly just buy some fuel injectors that will, fit the gap, or we can support our local buddies at ICT Billet, and they actually make an adapter spacer that sits on top of the injector to fill that gap. So we're gonna have to run over there and pay them a visit. But let me show you guys how these lines came out. I'm super happy with how they look. They're tucked away nice and sleek. I mean, back here you got a little bit going on, but luckily it kind of gets hidden behind the intake. And then also we got to remember that that panel is going to sit against the firewall and it's going to cover majority of everything there. But I don't know if you guys can tell, but I am super excited because we are literally one step closer to being able to fire this baby up. And let me give you guys a quick rundown of what we have left. We're just gonna say that the fuel system's complete. So after the fuel system, I need to mount a reservoir for the cooling system and hook up a few coolant lines to that reservoir. And then I got my power steering pump hiding back here. And there's two lines that come off of the power steering pump that are gonna go over to this reservoir right here. So 2 lines for the coolant, 2 lines for the power steering, and then we got 2 lines that we gotta make for the AC system. I know it's not a necessity, but that's just, I wanna do it now. That way I don't put it off later, because I might not ever get to it. I'm pretty good at that. But once we get that all complete, then we can literally start building our turbo kit. And once the turbo kit is done, we send the car off to Art of Assembly, get it all wired up, and hopefully we'll be able to get the first start off. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm super excited. I cannot wait to hear this thing fire up. But let's get back to it, because there's a lot of work that still needs to be done. So for those of you guys that think I'm horrible for putting an LS into a Lamborghini, I mean, look at this video I'm watching. This is the Stradman, if you guys don't know, but he is showing this Diablo replica kit car that they put on like a 4-wheel drive chassis. I'm not even sure what's going on with that, but that thing is super crazy. But we had to make a quick run to our local friends at ICT Billet, and they hooked us up with some of the injector spacers that we need, hopefully, and this fitting right here. This fitting is going to screw into the power steering pump, and it's going to convert it over to an AN line versus us having to use a hydraulic line. So it'll just make the routing and everything a lot more simple. But like I said earlier, we have to space our injectors out because I guess I never really explained, but the whole reason I have these fuel rails spaced so far up is because we have a fitting back here that fits really tight against this power steering pump. And in order for us to route our lines neatly, we had to space it up. And from my understanding, these sit on top of the injector and they fill the gap. And I measured it out and I think these should work. But let's go ahead and throw these on. That way, if they don't work, we can run back there real quick and get them swapped out. And just like that, they are installed and ready to go, locked and loaded. Check this out. These bad boys are not going anywhere. I mean, They are solid and they fit perfectly. So big shout out to ICT Billet for those. But every time I look at this car, you guys, I get a little bit discouraged because the list just gets bigger and bigger every time I think about it. I mean, I literally forgot that I still got to put ignition coils. I need to put a splice in that brace because I want it to come out in 2 pieces just for the ease of removing it and doing maintenance on the car. I got the intercooler pump and tank I got to mount, along with a whole lot of other stuff. But let's save that for another day. Let's end this on a good note. So like always, make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. And I appreciate every one of you guys that are already supporting me. Thank you, and we'll see you on the next one.